I really wish that this was my Cybertruck, but unfortunately it's not. But it does not make today's video any less exciting. Actually, today's video is going to be really informative for a lot of people that are looking at getting a Cybertruck or have taken delivery of a Cybertruck. There's a few options you have. You can wrap this thing. You can do vinyl wrap any color you want. You can do PPF. They're starting to get a lot of colors in PPF. Or you can leave it bare, just like this. But no matter which way you decide to go with this, there is one thing you can do right away after taking delivery. Of course, I just recently did a video of what the rust spots on Cybertrucks are. It's not the stainless rusting, period. It is not. And this truck actually has a few spots on it as well, which I'll show you. Is nothing nearly like the one that I had taken care of just a week ago or so. But this Cybertruck, what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna seal this. So before I considered putting ceramic coating on a Cybertruck, there's a lot you should know about that. Ceramic coating actually won't adhere to this stainless surface, and even the bits that will, it just will not hold up. Now you can seal this material, and that's what we're doing today. This product is actually specifically formulated for stainless surfaces, and after some testing, it is indeed good for the Cybertruck. So today we're going to do that, and this stuff is called Everbright coatings. This stuff is going to go on, and it's basically going to impregnate on the metal itself. It's going to seal, and then fingerprints and oxidants and any of that other gunk and junk that gets on your truck, that's going to have a lot harder time doing anything to this truck. And if you want to keep this look specifically, definitely sealing it is the way to go. But after you seal it, you can still wrap this, and that's one of the nice things about it. Is unlike ceramic coating, you have to do that after you wrap something because PPF won't adhere to it. This is just a sealer of the actual material. Whether you want to keep this look or not, sealing this stainless might be worth your time for such a large investment of a truck, and it's really not all that complicated to do. Basically, we're going to prep the surface by using Barkeeper's Friend, and actually we're going to use a less aggressive Barkeeper's Friend than I used last time. That's going to help us get down to a nice fresh layer. We're going to remove anything that's on the surface. If there are little specks of oxidation, things like that, all that's going to come off. And then we got to neutralize it because that is an acid, so we need to neutralize that. And then we're going to go over the entire truck with denatured alcohol or acetone, whichever that you have, to get it absolutely spotless on the surface before we put the coating on. And the coating goes on super easy. It's not going to take that long to do all this, actually. And after about 20 minutes, it should be dry to the touch and you're ready to go. It'll take between 3 and 4 days for it to cure completely. So after you apply it, it doesn't matter if it rains on or anything, just don't wash it until about 4 days later. Just make sure that sealer has a really good chance to cure completely. And then once that's done, you can do this every couple years if you want, or even more frequently if your environment requires that of you. But if you're up in the north in the winter with salt on the roads, or you're up by the coast, this might be a good idea to look into doing on your Cybertruck. All right, so we're gonna have to get really close. So there's little specks like this. Nothing nearly as bad as the other truck that I did just a couple of weeks ago. But you can definitely see there are some imperfections. These are my fingerprints. That's something that we're hoping to eliminate as well. This thing's a fingerprint magnet, of course. So this should be a good product to prevent that from being a thing also. And then going down the side of the truck, there's a little bit of road splash up on the sides. So we're going to address all that, get all of this off before we put the coating on, and should be good. But I'm not really seeing much of anything else unless you really get in close and you can start to see little specks. That's what the Barkeeper's Friend is going to remove. So the kit comes with almost everything that you need. It actually comes with a lot. Comes with a few sets of gloves, a lot of microfibers, a couple different application pads that you can use, and then 2 bottles of the Everbright coating, which is probably quite a bit, way more than what you're going to need for this. And then there's a cleaning agent that you can use for washing the car before and after we use some of these acidic products like Barkeeper's Friend. Now this stuff is the liquid form. This is a spray foaming stuff. This is what we're going to use to cut down that layer. This is less aggressive than the paste that I was using on the previous. After that is done, then you'll use Windex. The ammonia in the Windex is what's important. That'll help to neutralize those acids. And then we have a more effective non-abrasive rust remover and stainless cleaner. So there's only 2 things missing from this setup. that you get in the package, and it's denatured alcohol. You got to get it, but they cannot ship that in the mail. So you got to go get that at your local hardware store. It's easily accessible. You can even get it at Walmart. And then you're also going to want a solvent-safe pan, kind of like a paint dish. Unfortunately, I don't have a smaller one, but I did have this. This is going to work perfect. But we're actually going to pour the coating in here, and we're going to use the application pad in here to apply this. So something solvent safe is very important. It has to be solvent safe to put in there. So a good strategy as I'm jumping into this is I use the colored towels, or in this case, the blue ones, the darker ones, for things like Barkeeper's Friend. Anything that's like cutting. For cleaning, I'll use yellow. That way I don't accidentally grab a rag that was used for something acidic and use that for cleaning, or vice versa. So with that, what we're going to do is we're going to take the Barkeeper's Friend, and you're going to spray it actually on the cloth itself. Don't spray it onto the truck, but get a good amount of it on there. And we're going to start here with the hood. Basically, you don't have to worry about going in a straight line like you would with your appliances, because the finish on the Cybertruck is not in a grain pattern like your appliances are. And as we go, everything's looking good, but you can see it's going to leave this streaking behind. That's supposed to happen. We're actually going to remove that with a Windex when we neutralize the stuff. So just keep applying. I recommend do just one panel at a time. So I'll do the hood itself, and then I'll do the front, and then we'll do, you know, the front fender next, then door, then that back quarter panel. So we'll work our way all the way around the truck. All right, so the first coat is done, and generally you're done after the first coat if you do it right and you do it right across the entire truck. Unfortunately, I messed up the hood a bit, but here's the good news. We're going to be able to strip that off and redo that. It's not really a big deal. The rest of it looks pretty good overall. There are some areas where I can tell we're going to have to put a second coat on, put a little bit more material on, not a lot, but after I did the top of the hood, I learned right away what I was doing wrong and what my method should be. So very, very important. This stuff, put it on thin, not thick. Do not put this stuff on thick like I did in the first beginning of this. That was the issue I was having. So you want to put this on as thin as you can without it rainbowing, because when it rainbows, that's where you're not getting enough material on it. So just thick enough. Once you start to feel some resistance, there's not enough of the sealer on there. So get some more and just try to spread it out the best that you can. And just avoid the clumps. That's all you got to do. The rest of it, it'll dry and you'll be able to see very easily what you need to do. Okay, so coming around here, this is kind of what you're going to be looking at, almost like a wet, you know, stainless, like it was freshly cleaned. That's basically what it looks like, and that's how it's going to look across the whole truck. Now you can maybe see some of the areas even from here that we need to fix, but it's kind of that wet stainless look. As we get a little bit closer, I'll show you some of the areas that I'm talking about. So right here, this rainbowing, that is where it's not thick enough, so we'll put a little bit more there, and then right above it you can kind of see some areas we can touch up. Well, good morning. It is 3 days later after applying the coat on this awesome Cybertruck of Doug's, and he has returned. We've allowed it to cure a bit, and now we're going to go through and I'm going to show you some of the areas we need to do some touch up. And I'm also going to try to take out an area where some of the lint got stuck on there. Unfortunately, we don't have a controlled environment, so some things can get on the surface, but the feedback I heard this morning was so far so good. Really happy with the performance, especially with bugs. Said bugs just wipe right off, and that's one of the nice things about coatings like this is you can get kind of aggressive on the surface and not ever have to worry about, am I going to scratch anything? And of course, you know, it's stainless, so it can scratch. It's pretty hard to scratch, but this coating makes it even less of a thought. Just go in there, wipe it off, use a rag, whatever you want, it'll wipe right off. And this will also help with some of the contaminants as well, preventing them from getting embedded into that stainless. So let's get a closer look and see what we have to work with today and what we're going to focus on. So it's kind of hard to tell on the camera. Maybe if I zoom in here, you can start to see some of that rainbowing. So there's some areas where it's just a little bit thin, so we're going to have to apply a little bit more of a coat on these doors especially. But the rest of it isn't too terrible. Let me go around to the other side and show you here, this corner here. Over here is where we need to figure out how to deal with this. You can feel it. That's actually lint that is in there, lint and dust and stuff. Also, another thing to show you, so the fingerprints. I mean, as much as this thing is everywhere about fingerprints, this is one of the huge advantages of this coating from a cosmetic standpoint. Nothing, right? So that's kind of one of the nice things about this too, for those of you who can't stand all the fingerprints. Before I put on the coating, which I've stripped this whole panel, I decided, just because it's the entire length, it's just going to look better if I just strip the whole thing. So it took about 30 minutes to do that. It's clean, it's ready to go, and I can put a fresh layer on there. It'll look much better. But just to show you how well this stuff works for fingerprints, this is no coating, okay? So you can see, I mean, even with my hands, I've cleaned them recently, but still, all right, with the coating, doesn't matter. It's like before, after. So if you are nuts about this stuff, maybe this hand's even worse. If you're crazy about fingerprints, it's like you can't get fingerprints on it. It's pretty awesome stuff. All right, so just finishing up here, and I have some thoughts I want to share with you about this kit. Number one, it's been 3 days since the first coat, and I did confirm with Doug that the passenger side of this truck was sitting in the sun all day. This side was not, and I noticed immediately. I started on the driver's side, but I put the second coat on the passenger side, noticed immediately how much easier the second coat went on that side. So that curing process is legit a 4+ day process to fully cure. So let that happen before you try to put any more coats on this. So live with any of the imperfections or whatever. If there's big imperfections, take the time to strip an entire panel. You'll be so much happier with the results if you just take the time, remove all the coating, and start again. Another thing about this, I cannot believe the fingerprint resistant of this. It's incredible, actually. I mean, like nonstop. You can do this all day long and it's not doing anything. By the way, that's been there for maybe 30 minutes and it's already dry to the touch. So that's okay. It's going to rain this afternoon and it's safe in the rain as long as it's dry. Give it that full 4 or 5 days to fully cure. If it's possible, put it out in the sun. That seems to definitely help with the curing time. Next thing to note, you get 2 of these. And I have used almost 2/3 of 1 can, and that includes quite a bit of a second coat. You can absolutely cover 2 Cybertrucks with just 1 kit. And they give you 2 of these things. So there's a ton of product in here that you won't have to use. And the good thing about that is if you really screw up or you want to start over, like you have so much product to work with, or if you have a friend or whatever, maybe you guys split the kit, I don't know. But there's a lot of this. I also asked them to include a second set of applicator pads because that will help when you're in between. So basically, the cleaning process is straightforward. Once you're ready to apply the coat, basically wipe down 1 panel with alcohol wipes, get it streak-free, clean, everything, apply the coating. Wipe down the next panel, do the coating. Wipe down the next panel, do the coating. So make sure you do that in succession like that. Don't wipe down the whole truck with alcohol and then follow it with the material because it won't adhere right if the panel's not perfectly clean. Also, bugs seem to wipe away after the fact, even if they seem to get stuck on there. So don't necessarily worry about that just yet. Also, trust the self-leveling process. It's hard to not want to touch up everything along the way, but this stuff's very, very tacky as soon as it kind of lays out and it's kind of spread around. So don't mess with it unless you absolutely have to. Of course, get drips out, stuff like that, but just trust it to self-level and you'll be so much happier with the results is something that I have learned. So with that, that is enough for today. Link in the description, of course. Everbright is pretty straightforward product to use. Make sure you have plenty of extra gloves. There's a lot of chemicals involved in this and you're in a well-ventilated area. Code BTG will save you 10 bucks. And that's it for today. So hope that you enjoyed this. And if you are getting a Cybertruck, definitely something to seriously consider.